Hello, sports fans, and welcome to an exciting Thursday edition of Jake's Hot Takes. My name is Jake McVey, your exuberant host, as always, joined here by my co-host Matthew Galgano. Matt, how are you feeling today?
Feeling great after a Knicks Game 4 win, up 3-1 against the Celtics. And this might even be outdated by the time this releases because they might just win in five.
They might just win in five. This is actually going to be the last pre-recorded episode that we do for the summer. Your boys are coming home. So, enjoy us being outdated for the last time, because for the rest of the summer, it is all updated takes on time in the flesh. Mm-hmm. Matt, you are absolutely right. A dominant win out of the New York Knicks. Final score of 121-113. Knicks were down, I believe, 14 at one point during the game, and
in the third quarter,
and they walked their way back from this one. So apparently, it is a sustainable business model to go down a massive amount of points in a game and then just come back by the end. The Knicks played absolutely lights out. I don't think there's really any argument for it. There was four of our starters that managed to get over 20 points or more in this game, of course, being Brunson, Towns, Anunoby, and Bridges. Josh Hart's the only guy that missed out, but he had himself a massive game on the defensive end of things, so it's really hard to be mad at the lack of offensive scoring. Mm-hmm. Matt, aside from Brunson, because everybody knows you're going to say Brunson, but who was your player of the game for the Knicks in Game 4?
Pretty much the entire series, but McCall Bridges has been unbelievably clutch in this entire series. Is really how it is. I mean, in games 1 and 2, he had those game-stealing blocks. And in the fourth quarter, he just came alive. It felt like that mid-range jumper was unstoppable. He hit like 6 of them?
He was tossing them up like candy, man. It was easy for him. And I mean, the defensive impact that Bridges has had throughout the course of this series is just absurd. Mm-hmm. He literally can guard anybody on the court. And when I say anybody, I mean anyone that Boston throws out. He could guard Tatum, he can guard Jaylen Brown, he can guard Derek White, he can guard Drew Holiday, he can guard Porzingis, he can guard Horford. It doesn't matter. And having an all-purpose defensive guy like that is so valuable, because he's basically just removing one of the Celtics players from the game. Not to mention how good Mikal has been on the help defense and locking down the paint and preventing opportunities. I mean, the points in the paint, I got to look at the exact metric. I'll take a look at that in a second. But the Knicks outscored Boston in the paint like 24 points to 10. So we were absolutely dominant in the middle of the paint. And that's a good business model.
I think what you see is a lot of Boston just settling for 3,
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And it's part of the Knicks' game plan because they haven't been great at hitting them besides from Game 3. So it's been part of their plan, and it's been working. On the interior, Jalen Brunson in the fourth quarter was trying to be guarded by Al Horford several times, and that's just barbecue chicken.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's cookies.
Brunson just hits a little move on him, and you can't do anything.
Old dinosaur knees can't get down to 6'2" Brunson's height.
Speaking of Al Horford, I think he's been an absolute weak point for the Celtics in this series.
Not just a weak point, a liability on both sides of the ball.
He's been a huge liability. I mean, in this game, he only had 5 points, 5 rebounds. It just wasn't a good showing for him on defense either. I mean, coming into this series, I heard a lot of people talking about, Boston has a mismatch on pretty much everyone on this floor. And I just don't see that.
No, I don't see it either. I don't see it at all. Horford can't even guard Karl Anthony Towns. Towns was going at Horford at several points throughout this game and still producing very highly. So Horford is just a complete liability. Towns has been making him look like a fool this entire series. So I know Towns didn't have his best games early in the series, but he has arrived right now. Towns is here, and he's here to play, man. 23 points, 11 for 15 from the field, 0 for 3 from 3. He doesn't even need those 3-point shots to get that 23-point, 11-rebound double-double. Mr. Karl Anthony Towns, big bodega, big purr, whatever you want to call him. Double-double machine is what I think I'd like to call him, because, man, he had another phenomenal showing. It wasn't just a lot of scoring out of him. He got the energy going.
Yeah.
You could tell when he was down on the court, and and he was getting those tough buckets, and whether he was getting the foul calls or not, he was still getting the buckets. And the buckets were just getting everybody so hyped. The Garden was rocking. I think Towns had a really great showing.
Yeah, Towns played great. I think everyone in the starting five played great. Josh Hart, he's good at everything. 9 rebounds, great. And he had a really clutch steal. But Brunson's been unbelievable this entire playoffs. And OG really stepped up in this game.
Yeah, OG was phenomenal. 4 for 8 from 3. Which is absolutely what this team needed. A guy other than Jalen Brunson that can actually go out and score 3-point shots consistently. I'm going to throw Deuce McBride in that conversation 100%. As well, because he went 2 for 3 from 3, and he had a very big night defensively and offensively. Something that I saw in Game 3 that I was wishing that they would have implemented into Game 4 a little bit was I wanted to see more of Precious Achiuwa. I thought Precious actually played pretty well in Game 3 for the short amount of minutes that he was given. I believe he was only out there for like 5 or 6 minutes, but he made good use of that. He clamped down Tatum for one play and just looked like really hostile and like he had this really good energy to him. So I'm a little sad that Achiuwa's not getting to see the field a little more. He's a guy where I think especially in those series, the long series, in these later games where guys' bodies are starting to feel a little rough, I think, getting Achiuwa up to 8 or 10 minutes would be phenomenal for the team, But, I mean, that's neither here nor there. Obviously, I'm trusting what Tibbs has in mind for us because these rotations have been phenomenal throughout this entire series.
They really have. I think Mitchell Robinson stepped up so well in the latter of this game. I mean, within the span of 25 minutes, he got 7 rebounds. And that's just so clutch at that point in the game when our closing offense and defense needs to step up if we're down 14, Yeah,
and not to mention the absolutely monstrous discrepancy between the amount of rebounds that the Knicks got and the amount of rebounds that Boston got throughout this game. New York finishes the day with 43 rebounds. Boston only finishes with 31. So if that was not... this team is finally showing something that we haven't really seen out of them throughout the regular season or the playoffs, and that's a real dominance in the middle, down low in that paint game. I mean, Mikhail has that little fadeaway that he gets whenever he drives to the paint. Brunson has his little teardrop floater that he gets. Towns is pulling out all sorts of bad work, and OG is good for a dunk every now and then. So it's just good vibes all around, and I'm liking this new very stout defense. It's like we don't need to go for the threes necessarily. They're good to have, but we don't need the 3-point shot, and that I'm perfectly fine with that.
What I also like to see is that we had a game where Josh Hart was in big foul trouble coming to the end of the game, and we had a guy like Mitchell Robinson step up in the role that Hart plays, and he played great.
Yeah.
The Celtics didn't pick on him for free throws this game. He didn't even shoot any, but I still think he had a great impact on the court.
No, I completely agree. I think Robinson's defensive impact was really being felt because, man, I gotta say, Mitchell Robinson can move, man. I was not expecting this kind of mobility out of him, especially, coming off the leg injury that he had. So it's great to see Mitchell Robinson looking and feeling back to his old self, but he was moving his feet like nobody's business. He was getting those hands up, flailing them around, just generally being a nuisance to whoever he was guarding, and I thought he looked great out there. I think Mitchell, I think we were talking about how we're going to need at least one guy to come off the bench to give a little relief to our guys. I think Mitchell Robinson is that guy, and I think he has been that guy for us for this pretty much, definitely the Boston series, and to a lesser extent the Pistons series, I would say.
I think he's been huge pretty much since the Boston series has started because he's a part of Boston's game plan, They want to attack him, but he's been playing good. I think a lot of the mismatches that people thought that Boston was going to have coming into this, I think they really underestimated how valuable Tibbs' rotations have been, and just the ability to work around those mismatches,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you have a guy like Towns who's great at setting screens. So is Josh Hart, and that allows Jalen Brunson to switch onto a guy like Horford, who we can get an easy thing over,
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to guys, it's like it's all about matching. You want a better defender a guy who plays better defense than the guy across from him's offense. And I think Horford and Brunson is a perfect example of that, where Brunson doesn't even necessarily need to make a huge defensive play, get the steal, get the block. Obviously, we don't expect him to necessarily get that on Horford. Horford has a lot of physical advantages over him, but all he needs to do is be aggressive enough to put Horford in a position where he needs to make that split-second decision. Am I going to shoot? Am I going to pass? And Brunson just being a pest and putting that kind of pressure on Al Horford, I think it does a lot more for our defense than you realize. And having that opportunity for Brunson to play switch like that and not have to guard a smaller guy, because Mitchell Robinson is capable of actually buckling down his hips and guarding a guy like Peyton Pritchard or Derek White or Drew Holiday. It's really big. It's really big that they don't have anyone on the court who they can just completely pick on and target and obviously it does a lot for us, I'll say. Now, one guy on the court who I don't think anybody really expected to underperform as hard as he did is Jaylen Brown, who is giving us quite possibly consistently the worst 20-point playoff games you have ever seen. I mean, this is... he was better tonight from the field, but from three, it is awful. Jaylen Brown finishes the night with 20 points, 7 of 16 from the field, 2 of 8 from three, and chump change at rebounds and assists, just 7 and 2. Nothing too serious out of JB, but he has looked remarkably underwhelming throughout the entire course of this series. What do you think is going wrong for him?
I just don't think he's having the impact that he would have. I think the Knicks are doing a very good job, because he still is a defensive presence. There's no secret about that. But I think that the Knicks are doing a great job of letting their skilled shooters switch off of him in creative ways, like I said before, with Josh Hart and Cat setting screens. And I think in this game in particular, there were a lot of shooters that stepped up for this Knicks team that Jaylen Brown wasn't there to guard. I just think it's a good game planning around Jaylen Brown from Tibbs is really what I think it is.
Yeah, he almost feels like an afterthought in a lot of these games where not only is he not performing when he gets the ball in his hands, it feels like in a lot of the big moments, they're not even putting the ball in his hands. Mikal got that steal from him at the end of game one, and then after that, it's not like they've really trusted Jaylen Brown to be a consistent scoring option for them in any real capacity. I mean, I would argue Tatum and White and Holiday have all been more consistent scoring pieces for the Celtics. I mean, they just don't, Holiday's a bad example. I'm going to take back Holiday because Holiday was a bad example. I just needed another name to come to mind. But Peyton Pritchard is a much better example of guys that will come into the game and will score consistently on decent efficiency. And Brown's just not one of those guys. Brown's a very high-volume guy, but if the Celtics want to win this game, they can't allow Brown to be handling the ball every single possession because plain and simply he's not good enough. Yeah,
and as we mentioned before, Al Horford has just been ineffective for them in this series as a whole. He just has not looked great. And I think the thing about this Celtics team is that they're down 3-1, and they know that their team is going to look wildly different next year. They're not able to afford Porzingis. They're not able to afford Holiday because of the NBA tax rules that are going to come into effect. So I think that this team was also very discouraged by the end of the game due to the Tatum injury that happened, which we're going to talk more about Tatum in the next segment. But I think this team is very battered down right now, and they're just demoralized is really what I think it is.
Yeah, and especially playing in a hostile environment like Madison Square Garden, it completely makes sense. It is not an easy arena to play in. Mm-hmm. And that's why, teams used to fear the Knicks. They will now. They haven't for a while, but they will now. I don't know about you. We're going to talk about it in the next segment also. We're going to do some Pacers and Knicks predictions for the Eastern Conference Final, but I'm just going to say, because we don't have a lot of time left, this matchup is going to be so much fun. Yeah, I'm so excited for it. And we're going to talk about that and the Jason Tatum injury when we get back right here on Jake's Hot Takes, only on WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. Emphasis on the sports. We love our sports here. Let's go Knicks. We'll be right back after this.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to wayneswaycabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostics. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
You've long known that Newburgh Auto Spa on Route 17K utilizes top caliber products and the latest technology to give your vehicle the proper maintenance it needs. Whether it be a computerized soft cloth car wash, detailing consisting of a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper cleaning of your entire interior and exterior, or a fuel-efficient oil change from a trained technician, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Now, Newburgh Auto Spa is a full-service automotive center. That's right, Newburgh Auto Spa now offers tires, brakes, rotors, tune-ups, alternators, and more, all with the same professionalism and quality you've become accustomed to. For a full list of automotive services offered in specials, go to NewburghAutoSpa.com. Whether you need a basic car wash, a quick oil change, or now more extensive automotive service, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean, located at 86 Route 17K and online at NewburghAutoSpa.com. Now offering a full range of automotive services. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to romadeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, what makes my oven smell so bad when I self-clean?
Self-clean, my favorite weapon in the world. Self-cleaning is a brutal environment. Most people don't think about it. They hear self-clean. I'm not really sure if they're picturing scrubbing bubbles inside there, but what's really happening is we're heating the oven up hot enough to carbonize protein. We're going to take the food stuff that's left in your stove, and we're actually going to carbonize it. We're going to turn it to dust. So we're 700 degrees. So why does it smell bad? You're setting fire to a chicken. Today, a lot of the new stoves, because of the energy guidelines, there is no real self-clean anymore. They don't want those high temperatures. It's a huge waste of energy. It's very easy. You don't have to get on your hands and knees and your back doesn't hurt. You're not scrubbing the stove, but we use a ton of energy to clean the inside of that stove by heating it up.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Welcome back, Knicks fans and Knicks haters. If you hate the Knicks, go down in the comments and tell me why. But no, we're jumping right into it. We're going to be talking about a little bit more Boston Celtics before we move on to something more exciting. Because obviously there is an elephant in the room that I think we neglected to discuss in the
we
first
avoided
block.
talking about him, the Green Mamba himself,
The
Jason
anomaly.
Tatum. He went off. It's a very sad situation. I think, first of all, no one wants Tatum to be injured. It's a very sad situation for it to happen to him. Especially on a game where he was playing great. I mean, he had 42 points off 40 minutes, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He was just playing great, and a lot of the criticism that was coming into this game around Tatum was evaporated because of this performance. And at the end of the game, the Knicks are up 9, and then Tatum goes with it, which was an apparent Achilles tear. At this point in time of recording, it's not confirmed what exactly has happened to Tatum, but Shams tweeted out the Boston Celtics are bracing for the worst in terms of his injury. So that tells you what you need to know. It looks like an Achilles tear. It probably is an Achilles tear.
Yeah, and the likelihood, it's pretty much a 0% chance that Tatum returns for this series. But I think just to add insult to injury for Boston fans, there is a possibility that Tatum will miss a majority of next season as well. These Achilles tears, they are not easy injuries on the body. They are incredibly rigorous and take a lot of time and dedication and work and pretty much everything that Tatum now has because he can't play basketball. But
yeah.
I mean, look, these are the kinds of injuries that when they happen to your guy, when they happen to your star player, it is just the worst feeling. So, you know, you see a lot of knee-jerk reactions from people on the internet and things like that, you know, celebrating the Tatum injury. No one should be about that.
No, definitely not.
I mean, what's the point in celebrating, you know, a guy going down? Because now it just means the other team is worse, and you're going to be proud of beating a team that's not at full strength. It's like...
And I think it is a straight up fact that this Tatum injury does make the Celtics team weaker, and the Knicks are probably going to clean this up, is what it means.
Well, yeah.
But at the same time, this is not how I wanted it to happen.
Yeah,
you never want your team
to
be the other team to be battered down because of injury, and you just win because of that. I think the MSG crowd was very good about the injury. There was no toxicity in that building really, from what I heard on the camera, which is like pretty much the exact opposite of what happened in the Toronto finals when KD tore his Achilles and the entire crowd just started cheering.
Yeah. I've never been a big fan of cheering for injury.
No,
it's always felt pretty lame to do as a fan.
And what I find funny about that, I feel like a lot of Toronto residents would see New York as like a place for toxic people. Like the Knicks fans are all bad people, they're mean people, and then that happens in the 2019 finals, and it's just not a good sportsman. I'm really appreciative of the MSG crowd for being sportsmanlike.
Yeah, because you know they not only carry a representation of the team and of the franchise, but they carry a representation of us. I mean, we're out here, you know, the journalists, the media people who cover the Knicks. So I'm just glad that they kept it, that the MSG crowd kept it calm, kept it nice and respectful. And obviously, respect to Tatum for this game. Like Matt said, 42 points is not anything to scoff at.
Definitely not.
The highest score of the game. He was basically infallible from three. I was pretty angry watching Tatum shoot those threes because I was like, wow, he just keeps on making them, doesn't he?
But I think what's important to recognize is that outside of the Tatum injury, the Knicks still would have won this game.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
That by the time Tatum got injured, the Knicks were already up 9 with less than 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And they were rolling. Their offense was on a tear. And the Celtics looked like they looked in the first two games. You know, it looked like that's how it was going.
Flat. They looked flat.
It was flat.
Yeah.
So the Tatum injury was definitely the nail in the coffin for that. But I think they were on their way to winning even before the Tatum injury happened.
No, I completely agree. I think the Tatum injury happened with 3 minutes left in the game.
A little less than 3 minutes to go, and the Knicks were up 9.
Yeah, and the Knicks were up 9. So obviously it's not an unwinnable situation, but if you watch the game, the momentum was going. OG Anunoby got a steal and a dunk on the play where Tatum hurt himself. So even if he hadn't hurt himself, the Knicks would have just extended the lead to 11. So, you know, Celtics fans, just worry about Tatum. Don't worry about worry about Tatum.
I don't know.
Be there for Tatum. Don't try and gun for why the Knicks are fraudulent and how this was another fraud win. Because honestly, we had packed y'all up before Tatum even got hurt.
The thing is, I could see this Celtics team, maybe squeaking out another win in Boston on Wednesday. I could see that happen. The viewers at home will.
They'll know.
They'll know if that happened or not. We won't. But I could see that happening. But I just don't see the Knicks falling in this situation. And I think we're on to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that's been settled.
I think so too. I think it's finally happening. It's happening.
By the time this episode airs, the Cavs and Pacers series will also be decided. And I think this is such an exciting time to be a Knicks fan because I think the Pacers, it's going to be a tough series, but it is absolutely winnable. And the Knicks seem like they are in a prime position to make the finals, and it is a real chance to make the finals. They could totally beat the Pistons. I mean, the Pacers.
Pacers, yeah.
They could totally beat the Pacers.
Yeah, this is I gotta say, this is a Pacers team that I almost feel a little bit of like kindred spiritness with going into the second round. The Pacers and the Knicks were both stacked up against very, very good basketball teams. And they came out and they punched those teams in the mouth with 2 games, stealing 2 games at the away, and then coming back, dropping game 3, and then winning game 4. So these teams feel like they're perfectly in sync right now.
Yeah.
And it just feels like all of the drama and the tension is building to the meeting between these two teams. I mean, the Pacers have looked phenomenal in their performances against the Cavaliers, but they don't look infallible, which is the really important part. There are ways to beat this team.
I think what is really important about this Pacers and Knicks series is that the Knicks are going to have home court advantage. They're going to start the game in MSG and then play 2 games in Indiana. And I think that's a great advantage. I really am happy that that's how it's going to be because the Pacers are a lower seed than the Knicks. I just like this Pacers team manhandled the Cavs. During Game 4, you know. And this was a fully healthy Cavs team. Maybe not fully healthy because they're just coming back from injuries, but Garland was playing, Strus was playing, and at halftime it was 80-40. You know,
they beat the brakes off these boys.
They beat the brakes off the Cavs, and you know the Cavs are down 3-1, and it's not like they haven't been down 3-1 before. You know.
Yeah.
But this team does not have Kyrie or LeBron on it.
No.
They do have J.R. Smith, though. So we'll see how that goes.
J.R. Swish.
Yeah.
No, I think that, and I think realistically, these teams are very well built to play each other in competitive series. I think the Josh Hart and Pascal Siakam rivalry that's about to come out of this series is going to feed families. These 2 guys are possibly some of the best at what they do in the NBA right now, at least fitting their specific role, you know? Josh Hart is one of the best everyman defenders in the entire league. He can guard anybody, especially guys that have that size advantage over him. It seems like the bigger they are, the easier he has of a time dealing with them. And obviously Siakam is a very talented scorer. So this is just one of those series where I'm bubbling with excitement right now. You can feel it radiating off of me and in everything that I do. Obviously we still need to pack up Boston in 5, which I did predict, and I'm going to call my shot now. If they end up losing tomorrow night, Wednesday night, I'm going to look like a fool. But I called Knicks in 5 before the series even started. So I will take my Jake was right points and I'll go about my day.
Okay.
But no. One thing that I am really concerned about with the Pacers, though, is their bench. Because I know we said the exact same thing about Boston, but the Pacers have a pretty good bench.
They're playing with a different energy than the Boston benches.
They are, yeah. All of these guys are hungry. They want to prove why they deserve that spot. You know, the Boston Celtics, they're a very organized power structure. But the Pacers, all these dudes are competing with each other. They're not just competing against the Knicks. They're competing with each other to, you know, be the best. So it's exciting. It's very exciting.
I think something that is very interesting is that on the Pacers, in this game against Cleveland where they blew them out, they had at least 7 guys go be on the court for 20 minutes, and that's just not something we see with our Knicks team. Because we have solid role players in Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson, but outside of that, there's really no other guys that we can trust to do a specific action. Yeah, that's exactly it. I would not trust Cameron Payne or Precious Achiuwa to be out there for 20 minutes, you know, because that's just way too much. But guys like Mitch, I completely trust Mitch to play 20 minutes in a game, and I kind of trust Deuce. I'm a little on the fence about Deuce because his performance from the other night was really good, but at the same time, he has been consistently very underwhelming throughout this series. The thing is that we don't ask Deuce to do that much.
No, we don't. We ask him to play defense. He's a 3-and-D guy. We ask him to play defense and go get a bucket every once in a while. And he definitely plays defense. So I think he earns his existence on the court just through that alone. But, sometimes the shots don't always fall. Sometimes he can be a little bit of a too high of a volume guy. So there's just a lot of nonsense going on with that.
Yeah. But regardless, what is your prediction for Knicks and Pacers?
I think this one is going to mirror the situation that we found ourselves in last year. I think this is going to be a long, brutal series, but I think ultimately it will be Knicks in 7.
Yeah. I think it will be Knicks in 7 too, and we're going to be going to the finals. I think this is a team that hasn't had a chance at this in a very long time. So I think it's going to be a very good series, and hopefully the Cavs don't come back or something. The Celtics don't come back, and we just automatically just get that data. So
this is good.
I hope this ages well.
When we get back, we're talking about a little more Western Conference stuff. Make sure you stick around for that. We'll be right back. Jake's Hot Takes, WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. We'll be right back after the break. Thanks for listening, folks.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to wayneswaycabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostics. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
You've long known that Newburgh Auto Spa on Route 17K utilizes top caliber products and the latest technology to give your vehicle the proper maintenance it needs. Whether it be a computerized soft cloth car wash, detailing consisting of a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper cleaning of your entire interior and exterior, or a fuel-efficient oil change from a trained technician, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Now, Newburgh Auto Spa is a full-service automotive center. That's right, Newburgh Auto Spa now offers tires, brakes, rotors, tune-ups, alternators, and more, all with the same professionalism and quality you've become accustomed to. For a full list of automotive services offered in specials, go to NewburghAutoSpa.com. Whether you need a basic car wash, a quick oil change, or now more extensive automotive service, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean, located at 86 Route 17K and online at NewburghAutoSpa.com. Now offering a full range of automotive services. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to romadeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, what makes my oven smell so bad when I self-clean?
Self-clean, my favorite weapon in the world. Self-cleaning is a brutal environment. Most people don't think about it. They hear self-clean. I'm not really sure if they're picturing scrubbing bubbles inside there, but what's really happening is we're heating the oven up hot enough to carbonize protein. We're going to take the food stuff that's left in your stove, and we're actually going to carbonize it. We're going to turn it to dust. So we're at 700 degrees. So why does it smell bad? You're setting fire to a chicken. Today, a lot of the new stoves, because of the energy guidelines, there is no real self-clean anymore. They don't want those high temperatures. It's a huge waste of energy. It's very easy. You don't have to get on your hands and knees and your back doesn't hurt. You're not scrubbing the stove, but we use a ton of energy to clean the inside of that stove by heating it up.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Hello, sports fans, and welcome back to Jake's Hot Takes. I don't know. Well, I know how this Timberwolves and Warriors series is going to play out. I know how it is going to. It's either going to be Wolves in 5 or Wolves Wolves in 6. Steph Curry's hurt. The situation is just not good for Golden State right now. They look bad. And Podziemski looks a bit like a clown. He had a really poor night. But we're not here to get into game reviews. We're here talking about somebody very specific, and that is Jimmy Bubble Monster, or Jimmy Butler, as you casuals know him.
Butler the third.
Yeah, Butler the third.
And his performances outside of Curry being available have been pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie, they've been pretty bad. In this game alone, he had 14 points. Which, you know what, you might not say that's that bad, but when you look at his plus minus, he was minus 30.
Yeah.
And that is by far the biggest plus minus out of anyone in this game. And it's just not looking good for the Warriors. It really isn't. I think this is pretty much over. Without Curry, they just can't compete.
Yeah.
Their leading scorer in this game was Jonathan Kuminga, who before the playoffs was kind of forced out of the lineup, and it's just not looking good. This team has no identity without Curry. While Draymond is still playing well, it's not like he's having a particularly super positive impact on the court either. You know?
Yeah.
He had a plus minus of minus 18, 14 points. It's just not looking great. Is really how it is, and I think the biggest issue is that Jimmy Butler. We've seen him. The whole thing is playoff Jimmy. We've seen him be great on a team that had no business being there, like that 2023 Heat team, and that just isn't present in this Warriors team. And maybe that's because he hasn't been there that long. But I feel like Warriors fans can't help but to feel a little underwhelmed with his performances so far in the series.
Yeah, but I mean, do you think the expectation for Warriors fans was that Jimmy Butler was going to come into the team and immediately be that second piece in that playoff riser? Were Warriors fans expecting Jimmy Butler? And I'm honestly asking because I'm not sure.
They were. That's why they even acquired him. Mm-hmm. You know, I think yes they were, and in order they were. I think Warriors fans should have definitely been expecting him to step up and have some more volume scoring in the absence of Curry to at least keep this series competitive, on like maybe even take a game. Like if the series was even 2-2 right now, I don't think I would be having this conversation.
No.
But because they're down 1-3 and he had such a bad performance, I think it really calls to question whether he can even be considered a superstar anymore, you know?
Do you really you're going to go that far that you don't even know if you can consider Jimmy Butler a superstar anymore?
No, I don't. I really don't think so. And I think maybe it's a bit unfair. Maybe this because he doesn't have a guy like Bam Adebayo on this team. He doesn't have a guy like Tyler Herro on this team that he's gone on into the finals with before. But still, this Warriors team in general just isn't great without Curry. They have no identity outside of him. And Jimmy Butler doesn't provide that. He doesn't provide a solid source of scoring. He doesn't provide that same playoff Jimmy like energy that he brought up during the bubble or during that 2023 finals run, you know?
Yeah. And look, what I'll say on that is I completely agree with where you're coming from. And I think there's a very simple reason, is that Jimmy Butler went from Jimmy Butler's always been that very high-level competitive guy. You know, you see like what he did in Minnesota when he took the threes and he went and he beat up on the ones, and you know, he's always had that kind of intensity to him. And the Miami Heat reflected that intensity perfectly. You know, Heat culture and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that Golden State doesn't have a culture like that. But when Jimmy was in Miami, he was the face of the culture. He was the face of the team. Now Jimmy's in a different place with a completely different team archetype around him. Because a lot of the role players on the Miami Heat were dirty work guys. They were defensive players. They were rebounders. They were, lane crashers. Not a lot. And that left that opportunity for a shooter, like a traditional 3-level scorer, I'll say, like Jimmy Butler, wide open. There was nobody on that team that was better at only scoring than Jimmy Butler. But now he's on this team with a lot of guys who get the ball in their hands a lot. Kuminga, Podziemski, Buddy Hield, Draymond Green. I mean, they all took over 11 shots in Game 4 against Minnesota. So it makes sense that Jimmy's not getting the ball as much and he's not able to produce as much. But not only that, he can't even step into that role because the team already has that established dynamic, and if Jimmy's volume increases, it means that other guys aren't going to be getting looks, and that could honestly just cause something even worse. But who knows? Maybe that's what they need to do at this point, because honestly, the Warriors shot terrible in Game 4.
Yeah, they
did. They shot terrible in Game 4. Not just bad, they were terrible. Buddy Hield was 4 for 11. Podziemski was 3 for 14. Draymond was 6 for 14. Kuminga was 6 for 13. Just a terrible performance from those guys all around. So maybe they do need to shift focus and make Jimmy Butler the face of their team while Curry is out. Mm-hmm. Maybe they need to give him the attention. Maybe they need to give him the volume. I don't know. But Jimmy's performance is clear that it's a discrepancy between his two teams and not Jimmy's ability as a player. So that's where I'm going to disagree with you when you said that you need to question whether or not Jimmy Butler was a superstar or not. I think the better question is Jimmy Butler in the right situation right now? Which, after seeing this kind of situation unfold, I'm not sure that he is anymore. I thought he was a great fit for Golden State earlier, but I'm not so sure about it anymore.
I still think he can be a good fit, but the thing is that he has to have Curry there, and that's really what it appears right now, is that he's not the same type of Jimmy that can drag a team to the finals like he once was while being the number one option, and that seems like it's gone. He said it himself that he's content being the Robin to Curry's Batman, and Buddy Hield is his Alfred. But I mean, he said it himself, but if he's admitting that himself, I don't see how we can view him as a number one option anymore, especially after this. Okay,
well, is it the number one option argument, or is it the superstar argument? Because I can see it a little bit on both.
Maybe not number one option, maybe because I think he is good enough to be number one option. Like if he was on Charlotte or something.
Yeah, he'd be good on Charlotte. Yeah.
But a superstar, I don't think he's a superstar anymore.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's fair enough.
I think he's also talked himself out of that.
Yeah, I think he did.
I think he's a bit of a diva.
Yeah, he did talk himself out of that.
It seems like he's a bit more trouble than he's worth.
Yeah, and you know what? It makes sense why Golden State would be such a good fit anyway, because Golden State has that reputation for, Curry is a good enough media guy and a good enough teammate and a good enough leader to keep dudes with attitudes in check. Except for Draymond, sometimes Curry reels in Draymond sometimes, but sometimes it feels like he just lets him go completely off the deep end. But point is, I think Golden State was smart in trying to acquire Butler. He's incredibly talented. He's incredibly fierce. But I just don't think he fits in with the rest of these guys. I think what they need is like a more traditional rebound guy, a more traditional rebound guy, more traditional dirty work guys, more defense. I don't think they needed Jimmy Butler. Mm-hmm. But anyway, let's talk about the Timberwolves now. I'm sick and tired of talking about these Golden State Warriors. Let's talk about these Timberwolves. Do you think that they actually stand a chance against the winner of OKC and Denver?
Yeah, I do. I think Anthony Edwards is one of the biggest playoff risers in the league right now.
Okay.
I think he's absolutely great, and he played great in this game. He was 6 for 11 from 3, which, by the way, he made 6 3-pointers, and the Warriors, as a team, only made 8 3-pointers. Oof. So he shot almost as much threes as the rest of the team combined. And he's just great. He can put up so many tough shots, and they just go in. And I really like the size that this team has too.
Yeah.
Julius Randle playing great. Rudy Gobert, not a lot of volume on offense, obviously, but I think Rudy, he always steps up into what he's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I'll always have the opinion that Rudy Gobert, well, I don't like him as a person. I think his play on the court is severely underrated,
Yeah, and I've been a Rudy defender. Again, not Rudy as a person, but Rudy as a basketball player, because I think Gobert is an important type of archetype that is being phased out because people don't like Gobert, and he's the best guy of that archetype. You know, the no offense, pure defense, rim defender. I'm gonna get rebounds. I'm gonna block you. It's like no wonder Rudy gets dunked on. He tries to block every single time. He tries to block every single shot or dunk attempt or anything that's going to the basket. So you don't think he's gonna get dunked on sometimes? But no, Rudy has been phenomenal defensively. Jaden McDaniels, another guy, very big for a wing and very good defensively. He's a scary guy to watch get going. And of course, you know, coming off the bench, Naz Reid and DiVincenzo, those two have been phenomenal pieces for them throughout this season. DiVincenzo, we do miss you. Not sure I wish I had you back, but we do miss you.
Not over Cat.
Not over Cat.
No, Cat's
not
better.
over Cat.
Cat's better.
But no, I think ultimately though, I just don't know if they have the firepower to take on a team like Oklahoma City or Denver. They it feels like they're just missing something, you know? Like
I don't know. I mean, last year in the second round, they beat Denver in Game 7, and I remember very vividly that Rudy Gobert hit a jumping post fadeaway mid-range, and that's when you about know that you're cooked if Rudy Gobert is doing all that, you know?
Yeah.
I think that this team is very underrated. They're gonna take care of the Warriors, that's apparent, but we'll have to see what they do against the Thunder or the Nuggets.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not gonna speak on it too much because I can't really articulate it myself. But I don't know. If I organize my thoughts on this a little more, I might sit down and do a full segment on it. But until then, when we get back, we're talking about how the NBA is actually rigged. No, obviously I'm joking, but there's a lot of silliness going on. Legally, it's not rigged. I don't think we're allowed to say it's rigged. But.
The draft lottery's rigged.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back after this. We'll be right.
Thinking about remodeling your kitchen or bath? Wayne's Way Wholesale Cabinets has a great selection of all wood cabinets in the styles and colors to make your remodeling dreams come to life. Go to WaynesWayCabinets.com for more info. Wayne's Way Cabinets, 1829 South Road, Wappingers Falls. Call 845-280-0880. Stop by and talk to Wayne today. You'll be glad you did. CDS Auto and Truck Repair is your 5-star one-stop shop for all your vehicle's needs from A to Z, offering full vehicle diagnostics. Towing is available, and they now offer fleet service. CDS Auto and Truck Repair. Call 845-563-9987. That's 845-563-9987. CDS Auto and Truck Repair, 2917 Route 9W, New Windsor.
You've long known that Newburgh Auto Spa on Route 17K utilizes top caliber products and the latest technology to give your vehicle the proper maintenance it needs. Whether it be a computerized soft cloth car wash, detailing consisting of a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper cleaning of your entire interior and exterior, or a fuel-efficient oil change from a trained technician, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Now, Newburgh Auto Spa is a full-service automotive center. That's right, Newburgh Auto Spa now offers tires, brakes, rotors, tune-ups, alternators, and more, all with the same professionalism and quality you've become accustomed to. For a full list of automotive services offered in specials, go to NewburghAutoSpa.com. Whether you need a basic car wash, a quick oil change, or now more extensive automotive service, Newburgh Auto Spa is the place to go. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean, located at 86 Route 17K and online at NewburghAutoSpa.com. Now offering a full range of automotive services. Newburgh Auto Spa, quick, convenient, clean.
The Roma Deli, 237 Myers Corners Road, Wappingers Falls, is your neighborhood family-owned and operated deli, offering breakfast, lunch, and catering options. The Roma Deli has brought a little piece of the Bronx to Wappingers, including fresh-made sandwiches, Italian specialties, and desserts, all prepared and cooked in-house with authentic Italian ingredients. Their large menu provides lots of options to personalize your order to your taste. Vegan and vegetarian options available. The Roma Deli, offering catering that is perfect for any party or business function. Go to RomaDeli1.com or call 845-297-1200.
Michael's Appliances presents Ask Andy, the appliance expert. Andy, what makes my oven smell so bad when I self-clean?
Self-clean, my favorite weapon in the world. Self-cleaning is a brutal environment. Most people don't think about it. They hear self-clean. I'm not really sure if they're picturing scrubbing bubbles inside there, but what's really happening is we're heating the oven up hot enough to carbonize protein. We're going to take the food stuff that's left in your stove, and we're actually going to carbonize it. We're going to turn it to dust. So we're at 700 degrees. So why does it smell bad? You're setting fire to a chicken. Today, a lot of the new stoves, because of the energy guidelines, there is no real self-clean anymore. They don't want those high temperatures. It's a huge waste of energy. It's very easy. You don't have to get on your hands and knees and your back doesn't hurt. You're not scrubbing the stove, but we use a ton of energy to clean the inside of that stove by heating it up.
Shop with the experts. Nobody knows appliances like Michael's Appliance Center, 585 East Main Street, Middletown. Online at michaelsappliance.com.
Hello, fans of not rigging basketball. We are talking about the most not rigged part of every single basketball season, the NBA draft lottery. Now, Matt, people were pretty up in arms about this draft lottery this year. Could you explain to the good people at home why that might be?
Because the Mavericks had a less than 2% chance to win the first overall pick and the Cooper Flag sweepstakes. He's a generational player. He's been talked about for years, ever since Wembanyama was drafted. He's been the next big guy. And it's just amazing that the Mavericks have been bailed out as hard as this. It's a 1 in 50 chance that they have Cooper Flag on their team, the rights to draft him. And it's just ridiculous because you look at the move that Nico Harrison made early in the season. Obviously, it's infamously bad, the Luka trade. And now they've just been completely bailed, and now after the trade, they looked like a team that had no future, no destined future. And now they just got bailed out of that. They said, the NBA said, here, you're a big money.
Yeah, here you go. Yeah, we need some money.
I don't think it's completely rigged, but I just think it's completely unfair that teams like Charlotte and Washington that have small markets have consistently been sheeped out of bad players, even when they are significantly worse as teams.
Yeah.
Charlotte could really use. They're a team that has been historically bad. They're a team that can use a prospect like Flag.
Yeah.
They missed out on Wembanyama.
Yeah.
They missed out on Anthony Edwards. They missed out on Zion. All these elite prospects. And they're a team that's been consistently terrible, them and the Wizards, and they haven't received anything.
Yeah, and what the NBA doesn't even realize is that with more parity, allowing a bad team to crawl up from the mud and, do something really impressive, that is ratings in a can, dude. If Charlotte managed next season like the Pistons did, managed to actually place decently high in the East and then have a really competitive playoff series, I guarantee you a lot of people would fall in love with this team. And I feel like the NBA just needs to be able to take in the entire market as a whole. What's going to be good for the NBA isn't necessarily what's just good for the big market teams. I think the more parity that we have in those small market teams, the more exciting games are going to be, the more diverse of a group of players you're going to be, fans are going to have access to. But it feels like the NBA just does everything in their power to suppress these small market teams, whether it be things like NBA TV, like restricting the ways that you can watch their games. And now in the draft lottery, Charlotte's sitting at 4 right now, and Washington is sitting at 6. And you think it's any coincidence that the 3 biggest markets that were in the draft lottery just so happen to get the top 3 picks in Dallas, San Antonio, and Philadelphia?
Especially the Spurs. They just won the Wembanyama sweepstakes.
Yeah, and a lottery believer will tell you, oh, it's just the draft lottery. It's all random. Dallas got Cooper Flag. Dallas is going to get Cooper Flag on a lucky draw, just like how San Antonio got Wembanyama on a lucky draw. We know about the frozen envelope, Silver. You can't hide this from us anymore. We know what happened with Patrick Ewing going to the Knicks, and God bless Patrick Ewing, and God bless the Knicks. But man, whether it was the dented corner or the frozen envelope, or I don't know, maybe you just knew exactly which one he needed to pick. But man, it makes me sad. But let's talk about the implications for the Mavericks. because this all of a sudden changes everything.
It changes the entire trajectory of their franchise, which it just doesn't add up. Something weird is going on.
No, I
Why
totally
would the
think
Mavericks
so.
organization make that boneheaded trade if they knew they were gonna have no vision, and then all of a sudden they have the number 1 overall pick and Cooper Flag and an immediate path forward for your franchise?
Yeah.
It makes no sense. And so what's crazy is that the Chicago Bulls won one less game than the Dallas Mavericks.
Right.
And you remember that Josh Giddey game where he had that crazy half court shot?
Yes, I
and it
do
went
remember
in?
that. Yeah.
If the Bulls did not win that game, they would have lost the game and lost one less game than Dallas, and they would have the draft rights to Cooper Flag right now. That's how crazy it is.
My
Is
God.
that the stars aligning? The stars aligning happening for this
Ooh,
is crazy, especially when you think about it in the context of the Luka trade.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous how bailed out they got.
It makes me angry that a franchise can be this boneheaded for this span of time, because the Mavs have just been completely boneheaded throughout this entire season, and then boom, all your problems are solved.
Yeah.
And the worst, I'm gonna call my shot on this one. I think Dallas gets that Vegas move done by the time of the draft, or at least
Maybe.
obviously I don't expect them to, the Cooper Flag is going to be the face of Las Vegas at some point. I'm not going to, as those words were leaving my mouth, I was like, they're probably not going to become the Vegas Mavericks, in this offseason. But Cooper Flag is absolutely going to be one of the foundational pieces
100%.
for the new Las Vegas Mavericks. And the NBA is going to be making casino money. You know what that means? Ticket prices are still going to be high.
Here's what I think is going to happen. Actually, this is what I think would be the most ridiculous.
Cook
think
for me.
the Mavericks are going to trade the draft rights to Cooper Flag, a couple other role players, maybe a couple picks in the future for Giannis.
Wow.
I think that's what they're going to do. And I think that would drive home the rigged theory.
If they go and secure
Because
Giannis.
if they go and secure Giannis with this, it would just be so awful. But you know what? That would be a win for Milwaukee, because then they'd have Cooper Flag. They'd have a younger superstar.
Yeah, they'd have
build off
a
of.
conceptual reset.
So, but I also think the Mavs have that option. I don't think it would be a bad idea to try to trade for Giannis, especially because they have Kyrie, they have Anthony Davis. I think a core of Giannis, Kyrie, and AD is actually pretty good.
Yeah, yeah.
And
No,
it's
it'd be
not
good.
like Kyrie and AD are getting any younger.
No.
So I think waiting for a guy like Flag to develop would not be as beneficial as trying to go out and get Giannis. I think if I were Dallas, I would definitely be thinking about that right now.
Oh yeah, I think there are dozens of different ways that this potential first overall pick debacle could go. I think the possibility that we see Dallas draft Cooper Flag, just go out and draft him, just make the obvious choice. I think there's a lot of probability with that one. I think it's the most likely. I'm giving that one like a 70% chance to happen.
Yeah.
The Giannis situation, I see it. I see it's plausible. I'm going to give that a 15%.
I just don't want it to happen.
Down here at the bottom, though, there is a possibility, all right? This could be the ultimate finesse, all right? Here, walk with me, all right?
Yeah.
What if the Mavericks trade the rights to the first overall pick back to the Lakers and they get Luka back?
Mm-hmm. I think maybe.
Who says no? Who says no?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Who says
But
no?
That would be equivalent of what happened because they got so incredibly bailed out.
Nico would pull off the ultimate masterclass. It would be the most genius move in general manager history.
Exactly.
No, obviously that's not going to happen. That's ridiculous. Luka is a Laker forever. Sorry, Mavericks fans. But no, I think the Mavericks have a good enough core right now where they shouldn't be trading and dumping all their guys into getting a superstar like Giannis. Just go and draft Cooper Flag, give him and Anthony Davis and Kyrie and Clay and PJ Washington. You got all these guys on your team who are solid but feel like they haven't really come and gelled together. And a guy like Cooper Flagg might just be exactly what you need. So personally, I want to see Dallas just draft Flagg, and I want to see how it works out. Obviously, the situation is very, frustrating for a lot of fans of a lot of different teams. But hey, that's life, and that's the lottery, baby.
Yep. That's how it goes. Yep.
If you're afraid to lose, don't play. But yeah, that is going to do it for today's episode. We thank you so much for watching. Make sure you tune in next Sunday, same place at noon. We're back in the studio, so you're actually going to see our beautiful faces once again. So very exciting times. Thank you again for listening. I have been Jake McVey. Matt, you have anything to say before you go?
No, I do not.
All right, and that's going to do it for today. Thank you so much for listening to Jake's Hot Takes right here on WGNY 1220 94.5 News Talk Sports. And make sure you tune in next Sunday. We're going to be talking some more Knicks, some more basketball. We're going to be getting crazy. See you.